Okay, 18th one, what is it? Nama Ugraya Viraya Sarangaya Namo Namaha. Namah Padma Prabodhaya Martandaya Namo Namaha varum in some this thing. Prachandaya Namostute in some representations. And these are called, as I've told earlier, Pata Bhedan Chulva. Pata Bhedan are different, slightly different versions of the shloka will appear, because all of this has been passed on through oral tradition. It's been passed on through oral tradition. Nobody really wrote it down. I mean, even, of course, this is from the Ramayana, which is a Smriti. Smriti was to some extent transmitted, but I don't remember it is still written. Or maybe it was written. Ramayana was written. So maybe in some representations or some transmission, it possibly some of these terms changed. So Ramayana is a itihasa, but it's still a smriti, which is composed by an individual, as opposed to Veda. Vedas are not composed by a particular individual. It is apaurushaya. That is how it is represented. It's called apaurushaya, which means what they heard, it is revealed text. So this one, it's a little strange to find Pata Veda in Smritis or Itihasa, because it is actually pretty much written down. But still you find that, in fact, even in Kritis, Tyagaraja Kriti, Lakuda Tyagaraja Kritis.
I was about to say that, and the Pathantaram
there are Bhedas in Dikshidhar Kritis or Tyagaraja Kritis and all.
In fact, some disciples add some charanams. We
They
don't even know
this
original.
Correct. That is right.
Pancharatna Kritis.
True. So Namah Padma Prabodhaya Prachandaya Namostute. Namah Padma Prabodhaya Martandaya Namo Namaha. So anyways, at the same time, you're just using different names to propitiate Surya Bhagavan. Correct? That's about it. So in the case, what are we looking at? We are looking at Nama Ugraya Viraya Sarangaya Namo Namaha. Nama Ugraya Om Ugraya Namaha. Om Viraya Namaha. Om Sarangaya Namaha. Om Padma Prabodhaya Namaha. Om Prachandaya Namaha. These are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 namas here. So Ugraya Viraya Sarangaya Namo Namaha. Ugraya is a very familiar word. Ugra is terrible, fierce. Usually the term terrible or fierce is always associated with something gory. Gory means something that frightens you, scares you away, drives you away. Right? When something's terrible or fierce, you get driven away. But the fierceness or the terrible nature of the divine representation, the divine manifestation, it manifests itself as the terrible or the fierce, is essentially not to scare us off, but is to scare off those negative tendencies that we carry. It's essentially to scare the negative tendencies that we carry. And Bhadrakali, for instance, Bhadrakali is a fierce representation. Bhairavi, a fierce representation. Chinnamasta. In fact, most of the Dasamahavidya, you notice, they are fear representations of the Divine Mother. And why is that form important? Why can't we always think of the Lord or Bhagavan or my Ishta Devata always in a benevolent, loving, caring way? Why can't I think of God in that way?
I think when you want yourself to be protected from something which scares you, you probably need that, powerful a fierce a form which you can look at.
Correct. So absolutely. So you require a fierce form of the same deity that you are propitiating. the same representation or the divine manifestation that you find the Ishta, your Ishta, you also need to worship the Ugra form. What do you mean by worship is invoke. Whenever we say worship, we mean invoke. We need to invoke that Ugra form also. Why is that required? Like Kalpaka said, one is to protect ourselves from any external dangers, right? That is one. Second thing is also to protect ourselves from internal dangers.
எனக்கு அதான் தோணிது. ஏன்னா நம்மளுக்கு எப்படி நம்ம துவந்தம் இருக்கோ, when we are good natured, calm and disciplined, we need the benevolent nature of Bhagavan.
Correct.
When we have that tamasic or rajasic qualities, then
exactly.
We need Bhagavan. We have to latch on to that peaceful to get this destroyed within me. ஏன்னா ஆரம்பத்திலே அவர் அதான சொல்றாரு.
Correct. Absolutely.
உள்ளுக்குள்ள இருக்க இதெல்லாம் வந்து இது பண்ணணும், ஆசம் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு அகஸ்தியர் சொல்றாரு.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely right. So the idea of latching on to that Ugra form is important so that the same negative tendencies, the negative tendencies can be addressed through benevolence and care and grace and all that. But then the Ugra form destroys it much faster. Violent forms usually are very swift in execution. In the way it delivers the result, it's very swift. Which is why if those who are really serious with some of these Ugra forms of the Devata, it is pretty fast to move up in the spiritual journey. Right? Like I said, the Dasa Mahavidya or Narsimha, for instance. Ugra Narsimha. Narsimha is an Ugra form of Vishnu, Narayana. If you look at, it is said that those who propitiate Narsimha, they have to be in a way that to do that Narasimha sadhana, you have to be in a certain way. You cannot be you can't do Narasimha sadhana and be whichever way you want to be. You have to have a certain discipline, a certain regime. You have to be in a certain way. வீட்லயே நரசிம்மர் சிலை எல்லாம் வீட்டுல நரசிம்மர் சிலை வச்சு நீங்க பாத்திருக்க மாட்டீங்க யாருமே. It's very rare. Unless you are an ardent, you are a upasaka of Narasimha, then you have to deal with it in the right way, because it's an energy that is very swift and instant. Right? கையில பேண்டேட் வந்து if you've got hurt and you've put band-aid, ஒட்டிருக்கு பேண்டேட் ஒரு 3 நாள், அந்த பேண்டேட் பிக்கணும்னா ஸ்லோவா நிதானமா அப்படியே பிச்சுட்டு இருக்கலாம், கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா தடவை பிக்கலாம். பட் somebody like a Narasimha or a Kali will come and டக்குன்னு எடுத்து விட்டுருவாங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். ஐயோன்னு வலிக்கும், பரவாயில்ல, get over with it. எனக்கு டைம் கிடையாது. They are basically such energies. They're like, I don't have time to keep toying around and playing with you. Right? I'll give you instant results, because they are very clear in what they want to deliver. They are very clear that they want to deliver the highest understanding, liberation, the highest good for you. And which is why the way they are that way. So Ugraya, now which is Surya Bhagavan, so long we read all his names, you would have seen most of the names are, he's caring, he's nourishing, he is the creator of this world, he is the sustainer, he gives you knowledge, this, that, and the other, right? Everything is very nice and glorifying about him. But then it's important to also worship or invoke the Ugra aspect, so that he clears off. Like I said, somebody told this, if you have to be if you have to be bright like the sun, you have to burn like the sun, right? So Kalpaka is saying her Appa's forefathers were worshippers of Ugra Narasimha, and they gave up as it was very hard to keep, and now they worship Lakshmi Narasimha. Correct? That is true. And this is true also of Chakratarvar, Sudarshana Chakratarvar. Some people worship, but then it's hard to maintain an idol at home, right? Ugra Narasimha, Chakratarvar. You will see in temples, you'll always see Narasimha and Chakratarvar back to back. In Vaishnava temples, Vishnu temples, you go, there'll be a Sannadhi where there is Narasimha and then there is Chakratarvar in the back. And they are generally paired up. Otherwise, if you're seeing Narasimha separately or in a separate altar, he will be seen with Lakshmi Devi. So Lakshmi Narasimha. So some of these energies need to be delivered in a way that we can receive it. Otherwise, it will start impacting in our lives in a way that we may not be prepared for. I see the example, a great example is of Vishwarupa Darshanam, right? At least 4 people got Vishwarupa Darshanam in the Mahabharata. One we know is Krishna. Then one we hear is Karna. Then one is Duryodhana. And one is Sanjaya. Because he had the Divya Darshanam, so he was able to see the Vishwarupa Darshanam. So Arjuna got it as a teaching, as a form of a guru. Krishna came and gave the Vishwarupa, which is the vast Virata Rupa. The Virata Rupa was offered to him as a teaching. To Karna, it is said as a reward for the kind of life he lived, for the dharmi that he was. To Sanjaya, it was grace. It was just pure grace. And to Duryodhana, the same Vishwarupa Darshanam. It is the same thing. Krishna presented himself as this Virat Rupa, but he was not able to take it. So for him, it was fearful. He found it terrible. He found it fearful, and he was scared. So what happens is when the Lord presents in that form, in the fierce or the terrible form, are we prepared to receive that, the glory in that form? Think of Bhadrakali for that matter. Think of any of the, as I said, Dasamahavidya forms. But it's important to invoke. Once in a while, it's important to invoke so that, and we invoke with understanding. We invoke with understanding, with the guidance of someone who is who understands this. He teaches you, and then with that understanding, we invoke these forms. And we invoke, it's not like we just invoke it randomly. We do like a sadhana. We pick it up for a mandala, for a period of time. We invoke it. In fact, even these days, Srividyaji, Varahi Patina Cholla Vandampo. You read my mind. I was about to say about Varahi. Same thing now, Varahi also is a similar Ugra form. It depends on how you invoke her. There is a possibility that Varahi, Mother Varahi, can cause tumult in your life. Because imagine the whole iconography of Varahi. Look at the archetype. She is a boar which has got tusks, and which means she will dig deep. She will dig deep, and she will take out the kasadagal, the residue or the deep, whatever the innermost desires, fears, anxieties, whatever that we carry, she will surface them up for us to face it. Are we ready to face it? So when you go into Varahi, you must have preparatory sadhana to do to go deeper into Varahi. It's possible that if you go into Varahi, that there may be things that may happen to you in terms of you may go through emotional stress, physical stress, mental stress. Things may happen because she is digging out. She'll dig out a lot of uncovered treasures of samskaras that are there inside. There are a whole lot of asanas and samskaras that are there. The way we address them is slowly. See, this is also one form of grace, is all of these samskaras that are laden inside, they don't come out at once. It comes out little by little. At some age, you will see you're desiring something, some sort of fear will come, some sort of distaste will come for some things, and these things will happen over time. You'll say, when I was young, I didn't realize that I liked this thing so much, or I didn't realize that I had a distaste for this, or I didn't realize that this causes me. I find this very uncomfortable. I'm very uncomfortable with this. Some of these things will emerge out of us as we grow older. Some of these things will emerge out. These are all subdued samskaras also. What may happen is, when you go to Ugra Devata, they may unearth all of this almost together at the same time. Will you be able to handle it? Because we don't live as a sannyasi in the monastery or roaming around in the jungles without any responsibilities of social any social demands, right? We are not like that. We are living in a social world where we have social responsibilities, where we have to do certain things to be in the society. And when all of these things suddenly unearth within us, we should be able to handle it. Which is why approaching these deities in these forms, it's important to have the right kind of sadhana laid out and not overdo also. Just because I love Chinnamasta, I don't know if you've seen the form of Chinnamasta. She will not have a head. She'll be holding the head in one hand, and then she'll be holding a sickle. So she's a Mundam Devi. She's a headless Devi. Chinnamasta. Chinna means to cut. Masta is head. So just somebody gets attracted. If you're in a normal family household where you have husband, wife, children, parents, you're living a normal, regular grahastha, and if you bring Chinnamasta and install her in her house and you do invoke Chinnamasta, you may not be able to deal with the results or the energies that may rise in the house. Right? Because that's the form of the deity. That deity invokes certain energies. In fact, a lot of times it's said the Smashana Kali. There is a Bhadra Kali. Bhadra Kali is Bhadram, which is slightly the tamed one. The Smashana Kali or the Dakshina Kali, if you bring that Dakshina Kali and you will see people dying in your family. Because Smashana Kali is what? You're bringing the energies of the Smashana to the house. So this Kali will create an environment which is like a Smashana. Because she loves to live in a Smashana. So then we will think that, Ayo, I am praying to Kali and then I am praying to Mother, and so many difficulties in my life. People are dying, things are happening in this way. We'll wonder. But it's, you have invoked. In the same way, also Ekamukhi Rudraksha. We have to be very careful in keeping Ekamukhi Rudraksha in the house, unless you are ready for it. Ekamukhi Rudraksh is usually something that that motivates you towards renunciation. So if you're ready for renunciation and ready to let go and go move, then an Ekamukhi Rudraksh is very beneficial, very beneficial. Single-faced Rudraksh. The problem is, if you're right in the middle of a Grahastha ashrama, you're just married, you're just having kids, you have to take care of your family, you're looking for a career, you're looking to take care of your children, they need to study, grow, then you have your parents, you have to settle down. When all these responsibilities are there and you suddenly have an Ekamukhi Rudraksh and you start doing japa and all of that, then the tendencies of renunciation will start permeating through you, and it will disturb your grahastha. And we will think that I am doing the right thing. I am only chanting Om Namah Shivaya, I am only doing Shiva Puja. But why is this happening? And that's because you are treading upon energies which are in conflict with what you are doing otherwise in the social world. I know of a family friend. That person was deep into Kriya Yoga and some of these practices. And he had an untimely death. His guru had told him, don't overdo it. And he did it for several years. But he was so much into it. He had a son who wasn't settled yet. He had a daughter who was still studying. His wife was young. And this man he was working. He was the only earning member. Doctors couldn't find out why he died. Takkana. So these are things that we've got to be also sensitive to the environment we are in. All of the story is to say Ugraya Namaha is to, when we invoke the Ugra aspect, we have to do it like a sadhana for a period of time. Sometimes we think that just overdoing also, we think that suddenly I feel so excited, I want to overdo. Like Varahi Mantra, for instance, right? Sri Vidyaji asked, you just go and overdo it. Then we should be willing to accept the corresponding effects also that come through. You have to be prepared for that. Otherwise, it's always good to just do these things for a mandala, for a period, for a month, or whatever, 10, 15 days, 12 days, 24 days, 48 days, cycles. So, Nama Ugraya Namaha. So, Surya Bhagavan also has that Ugra aspect. As I said, if you have to be luminous like the sun, you have to burn like the sun. So, which means that burning within tapas, that tapasya has to happen for us to be able to be bright like the sun, to be able to give light to others. So that Ugra aspect also within us helps us to dissolve negativities within us. The tapas, the fire of the tapas dissolves all negativities within us, and it helps us to focus on the spiritual aspects of us. Because a lot of negativities are essentially a hindrance. See, even the thought that I am a spiritual sadhaka, I am doing so many things, things are not happening to me. We go into a feeling. That is also a negative tendency. That's also a negative tendency. I am trying, I am doing this so much, I am doing this, but yet I am not able to, I am not getting this experience people are talking about. I'm not able to be joyful. I'm not able to be this, that. A lot of times that depressing mind state will also come. That is also a negative tendency within us. The mind is pulling us back. So Ugraya Namaha, we invoke the Ugra Devata there. Said, chop. Go away, ye Satan. Bible, there is a saying in Bible. Even Christ is shown as getting tempted and disturbed by the Satan. In the biblical language, these negativities are referred to as Satan. Satan Tamil. Satan has this, it's the symbol of all these negative tendencies. So when even Jesus Christ gets tempted, there's a whole work called as the last temptation of the Christ. Get an opportunity. There's a movie and you should read the work. Very beautiful to see how even somebody like a Jesus Christ was tempted by these tendencies that he had to give up. And then he resolves, he makes that sankalpa and says, go away, Satan. Which means he drives that negative tendency away with the sankalpa. Right? Viraya Namaha. So one who has the ability to kill the demon Tripura. Tripura is the three Pura are three cities. So one who has the ability to kill with his virya. Virya is essentially the power or energy, the condensed energy within us is virya. Virya is that, in fact, brahmacharya is an important method to retain the virya within us. So through brahmacharya, what people do is, whether you're an unmarried person or a married person or old or young, whatever, or male or female, brahmacharya is abstinence from indulgence. What you do is you maintain that essence or energy within you, and you do not let it go out, but you retain it so that you can rise spiritually. So that he is Viraya Namaha. He is the one who is that essence, that energy. And with that energy, what you could do, you could destroy the three gunas, Rajas, Tamas, Sattva. Even the Sattva guna is a guna that you want to transcend. So Tripura is three cities or three states in which we are. The conditioning of the body, the mind.
The three states.
Ama. So the waking, the dreaming, and the deep sleep. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. These are the three states. Repeat what you said, Kalpaka.
Supta, Pragnatmika, Turiya, Sarva Avastha.
Adukku munnadi idu sollu. Supta, Pragnatmika, Turiya, Sarva Avastha. Sarva Avastha Vivarjita. One who is above the three states. So in the Supta
அடுத்தது தான் சொல்ல வர, முன்னாடி சொன்னா திடீர்னு வராது.
இப்படி கேட்பேன் நான் எதிர்பார்க்கலையே. இல்ல, எதுக்குன்னா Supta is the third state. So the first two states must be presented in the earlier shloka. And that is what I meant to say. But you can look up later. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Three states. And she is Sarva Avastha. These are called Avasthas. Avastha Traya abdin cholva. So she is Tripura Sundarena. She is one who is transcending, Vivarjita. She is not bound by, or she is devoid of these three states. and she is in the state of Turiya. So Viraya Namaha. So this is that energy or power through which you can dissolve the conditionings of the Triputi. These are all also known as Triputis. Triputis are the three things that comes in three. The for instance, the enjoyer, the enjoyment, the process of enjoyment, and the object of enjoyment. This is called Triputi. Sarangaya Namo Namaha. See, a beautiful way how Saranga is described by one of the commentators. Saram Shighram Gacchati iti. One whose rays move fast. And is also presented as the sound, the supreme sound. So Saranga is Saranga in one representation, it is the bow. The bow that Narayana doesn't hold. Rama holds.
Sarangapani.
That is why he's called Sarangapani. Correct. He's got Saranga in his hand. Pani is a hand. Pani is hand. Sarangapani. But there is an interesting association with sound, because the bow also makes a certain sound whenever it is employed. In fact, those who have seen this series, Mahabharata series and all, and even otherwise, you will notice that in Bhagavad Gita also, in the starting first chapter, the warriors, the Maharathis, they will proclaim their presence in the war field by two things: by blowing the conch and the twinging, or what do they call that? The twanging, I don't know what the word is. You twing the bow. So when you do that, so like for example, Arjuna's Gandiva was very popular. So when he just that twang, when he does to the bow, people in the battlefield will know, okay, Arjuna is here. So there is a sound that the bow also releases. And whether you just twang it like that or you let go an arrow, in both cases, there is a certain sound that it creates. So apparently one of the commentators is representing, seeing that as a symbol, Saranga, as that is a symbol of the Surya Bhagavan. So Surya Bhagavan is because it's like the rays of Surya going out like arrows from the bow. See, Saram Shighram Gacchati is like the rays are going. How do the rays go out? Again, like
the light and the 7 colors, white light falling on the prism. And
we were talking the other day, when they draw the sun, they will put lines like this, right? So those are like arrows going out from the sun. So arrows going out from the sun, from the bow. So the way you look at it is, sun is like the bow. That's how you draw it, right? Even if you draw it, just imagine the way you draw it. Sun is like the bow, just half C, like that. And then you have arrows going out. So Surya Bhagavan is the bow from which the rays of arrows are let out. So Sarangaya Namo Namaha. Om Padma Prabodhaya Namaha. Padma Prabodha is the awakened lotus. He is the cause for the lotus to awaken, and he is the representation of the awakened lotus. So there are some of these flowers which which turn in the direction of the sun, right? Sunflower is one. I don't know if lotus also does that. Probably it does. But sunflower is very something that we can very clearly see. The stalk will come up and you will know the direction in which the sunflower is facing. You will know that is the direction in which the Surya is rising that day. Very beautifully will face the direction of the sun. In the same way, the lotus is also it blossoms or blooms when Surya is out. And what is a lotus symbolized? What does a lotus symbolize in our in our literature, in a scriptural?
Non-attachment.
Non-attachment is one thing, and the other thing it represents is the blossoming of our consciousness. That is why lotus symbol is very it's considered to be a sacred flower, a very it represents the highest spiritual understanding. The blossomed lotus. It's a full flower, right? When you see it, you know it's full. And all the chakras in the body, from Mooladhara to Sahasrara, they're represented as lotuses. In the Shat Chakra Nirupana, the description of these chakras are like lotuses. And Sahasrara is like 1,000-petaled lotus. So it is the symbol of enlightenment, the symbol of awakening, the symbol of blossoming. So Surya Bhagavan is somebody who can give us that knowledge. Surya is the guru for a few people, right? Like Hanuman, Karna. Karna, he is of course Karna's father. There's one Vedic Rishi for whom Surya Bhagavan was a guru. Anybody?
You said the other day, Ashtavakra.
Not Ashtavakra.
Yeah.
Yagyavalkya. Yagyavalkya. So it is from Yagyavalkya, the whole Shukla Yajurveda comes out. So Yagyavalkya receives this knowledge from Surya Bhagavan because his guru drives him away. The story is that. And then he learns it from Surya Bhagavan. So Surya is the giver of knowledge, right? So that way which means he enlightens you. And also, and Gayatri said it, is it? Non-attachment. So that is also an important aspect of lotus. The lotus leaf, water doesn't stay on it. It's got a wax coating, so nothing really sticks onto you. So when in the path of spiritual sadhana, you become less and less attached to the material, and more closer to the spirit. You become more and more lighter because you become less attached, less burden. You become lighter and move towards the spirit. And the blossoming is as represented as the lotus. Padma Prabodhaya. Prachandaya Namo Namaha. Prachandaya is the same as the fierce and the terrible one. Okay, so the other Prachanda, the other meaning that's given is Janardana. So the name Janardana of Vishnu is somebody who likes to inflict pain. I didn't know this for a long time. My brother's name is Janardhan. I was telling my mother, Amma, maybe கஷ்டப்படுத்துறான்டா அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அம்மா ஏதோ அன்னைக்கு சொல்றச்சு, அம்மா நீ தானேம்மா உனக்கு பேரே ஜனார்தன் வச்ச. என்னடா சொல்ற? Then I told my mother, Janardhan means somebody who's inflicting pain. But Vishnu, Narayana, Krishna is called Janardana. The form, that aspect again is Janardana means he inflicts pain, means he is very quick in giving the result of your karma. He very quickly delivers, executes the result of whatever is your karma. And a lot of times our karmas bring us pain. Most of our pain is because of the karma that we do, right? So Janardana, in that way, he is the Lord's aspect or manifestation in which he delivers the result very quickly to us. Okay.
இதுல வந்து மார்த்தாண்டாய நமோனம்ல வந்து son of மார்த்தாண்ட மகரிஷி அப்படின்னு போட்டிருக்கு.
Correct. Vijay, I saw that it's son of Martanda. I don't know what that story is, by the way. அது இருக்குன்னா ஏதாவது பாருங்க. See what is that story of Martanda. Maybe next week we can see the significance of Martanda Rishi. There must be some connection to Surya with Martanda.
Mrikanda Maharishi.
Kora will have some answers.
Kora. Kora.com. See, like Ganga is also called as Jannavi. Jannavi in Cholua.
And the Muni illa.
So there is a Muni, Jahnu Rishi, Jahnu Rishi. So there's a Rishi by that name. And he is said to, when Ganga is flowing with so much of force, he is said to consume her completely. And then everybody pleaded that, Ganga should be let out, and then he let her out, I don't know, from some organ, from the nose or ears or somewhere. She comes out. And so she is known as, she is born out of Jahnu Rishi. So hence Jannavi.
Oh, it's not like Rishi மாதிரி கொடுக்கல. இதுல வந்து எப்படி கொடுத்திருக்கனா மிருத அண்ட அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு. Dead egg. So it is the 8th sun, it seems, which sinks into the horizon.
Oh, okay.
Mrita Anda.
Mrita Andava.
He's got the most popular answer. Voting vachidam.
Anyways, good. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha.